in terms of representing a local campaign. I can only describe him as a dirty, rotten scoundrel. His name is Robert Lindsay, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Hi guys. Now this is not any publicity for the show, I can assure you. I've been a resident here for 20 years now, as a lot of you will know, in Denham Village. And ever since I've lived here, I seem to be campaigning against either Central Railways or Norfolk Aerodrome or the new terminal at Heathrow. We seem to be constantly surrounded by urbanisation, which wants to take over this beautiful, beautiful spot that I absolutely love. This is why I came to live here. And I'm desperate to protect it. I walk my dogs here every day. I know in this particular area we will be quite lucky, apparently. I mean, the guys, the experts can tell us, because God only knows where this train runs to and from and how. I gather phase 3 will come to Heathrow Airport when it gets its sanction. People are nodding, I don't know. But I'm just about to say that I will not join you on the walk, because my 2 boys are doing revision for exams next week. And also I did 2 shows yesterday, but I will join you for a pint of Rebellion beer at the end. So God bless you all, power to the people.
Robert Lindsay, ladies and gentlemen. From the other side of the water, from our neighbouring constituency, Northwood and Ruislip, I think it's technically called, and Denham, okay. But also from the government, we have our neighbouring MP, into whose constituency the walk will go when we cross the White Bridge across the canal. Ladies and gentlemen, our great thanks for coming along to Nick Hurd.
Thank you very much. It's really good to see you in proper big numbers. Perhaps when you signed up for this you were thinking, nice spring sunshine, that sounds like a good idea. Well done for being here. Look, some of us may have different views about whether this thing is in the national interest or not, but what is clear is it's completely against the local interest, and Robert is right. Current proposals are absolutely unacceptable in terms of the damage they do to an area of country that is hugely valued by a lot of people. We have to change them. That campaign continues, irrespective of the vote last week. In fact, that campaign perhaps arguably just starts. But it's really important that people continue to walk, continue to campaign. This week we've got a minister coming down to visit the area to look at HOAC at my request. I'm seeing the chairman of HS2 on Thursday, I think, and I will tell him about you and this walk and the strength of local feeling about the change that we need to see to protect this area. So I'm going to walk with you, and I congratulate you for coming out in this weather to show your strength of feeling and the fact that you are not going to go away. Thank you.
Our third speaker is a familiar face. He's been to our 2 previous walks. He has been central to the Stop HS2, anti-HS2 campaign since it began. He's instrumental in leading the way with Bucks County Council as one of the most militant councils along the line who have been a complete pain in the arse to the government. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of Bucks County Council, Martin Tett.
Frank, it's not just the government that regards me as a pain in the arse, I have to tell you. I have somebody at home who would probably echo that. Frank rang me up the other morning and said, you know, is there any chance of coming along to this? And I said, well look, it's really tricky because I've been to the first one of these. Actually stood here 2 years ago and said a few words to you. I came to last year's and said a few words. But I'd actually got something else booked this afternoon, and I said, look, it looks really tight. But I thought about it for about 5 seconds and said, look, I'm just going to cancel out what I'm doing this afternoon. Because I actually think this is far, far more important. And unlike the photographer and other people who've chosen to go to Gerrard's Cross, I think it's far more important to be here today with you, continuing the solidarity and support we've had right across Buckinghamshire and from Buckinghamshire right into Ruislip and Northwood against this campaign. And I'm very, very proud to be here today with you. Secondly, what I wanted to say to you was that, you know, 2 years ago we stood here, I've been fighting this for 4 years now, you know, and over the last 2 years we've made some enormous progress. When you look at every single public opinion poll, not just in the south, not just in the Chilterns, but across the country, every single one shows something like 77% of the public oppose HS2. We have comprehensively won the battle of public opinion. The problem we have is we have not won the battle in the House of Commons. We have a united situation there where the major three parties still cling to what I believe is this failed project. And whilst they have that unanimity, we face, quite frankly, an uphill struggle there. We had the second reading quite recently, and I have to tell you, now that's happened, you know, the chances of stopping it within this Parliament are very limited. The focus now within this Parliament turns to mitigation, it turns to petitioning, and what we can do immediately is absolutely marshal as many petitions as we can of people who are directly affected by this line to make sure that were it to go ahead, we get the absolutely best deal we can right the way through this county, through Ruislip and through Northwood and everywhere else in Ecuador that's affected. So what I would ask you to do is listen to what Frank can give you in terms of advice. There's plenty of information out there. As a county council we produce, this is just the executive summary of the Bucks Blueprint. It's a very detailed document that lists all the mitigation we want to see along this line. Make sure that you, if you have the opportunity, make sure you get a petition in. It'll cost you £20. That's all it should take. You don't need a lawyer, you don't need professional representation. In fact, quite honestly, you'll be more powerful appearing for yourself or getting a friend to appear for you than if you employ a professional lawyer. And it will cost you £20. So the more petitions you lodge, the more we can delay this project and the more powerful the request for mitigation becomes. And then of course what happens after the election is another ball game entirely. And I've always said with my colleague Ray Puddiford from Hillingdon that, you know, time is our friend on this project. Time changes lots of things. But in the short term, let's get focused on petitioning. I think Joe's going to say a little bit more about that. There's lots of help on the web in terms of videos. There are workshops being run in terms of helping you petition. There are boilerplate petitions as well. So get behind it, get petitioning, and let's hope still we can kill this project. But if we don't, we get the very, very best deal we can. Not just for Denham, not just for Buckinghamshire, but for everywhere along this line. And let's still hope we can kill this project. Thanks very much.